I don't remember that much. You tell them.
Memorial Day school program. Mark and I had a skit on a kitty cart going around on the stage. Somehow her skirt got caught under the back wheel. I was trying to go ahead, she was trying to back up.
I was embarrassed to tears. I mean, both on a little kitty car to begin. Oh my. I think my dress got caught in the curtain. Wasn't that it? And I had to roll the curtain or something for me to get on the hook. I don't remember.
The curtain used to roll.
Yeah, it rolled. Oh my.
Well, then there was one time, I forget who the other guy was. The curtain was going up, we both got our ties caught in the curtain.
That was fun. I mean, you had your own fun.
And then it was so crowded, and the kids would sit up in the windows in the basement in order to get in to see.
Yeah.
Sit on the window.
Someone from the congregation was assigned as a warden. That's in the minutes too. And somebody was assigned to go up and ring the bell in case of enemy planes or whatever. That's early in the 40 minutes.
Arnold Neubert was home. He was stationed in Maryland. He was home like every other weekend. Sometimes he'd ride his motorcycle. Sometimes he'd come on a train. And Walt Teeley would always, make sure they had a ride from and to the terminal. Well, one evening, it was a Sunday evening, and Walt was going to take Arnold back down to the Pennsy station. And there were 7 or 8 of us in that Buick he had, including Arnold. We're going down through Shaler, and Walt says, "Oh boy, I think I see a cop coming. Those in the back, some of you on the floor." So I don't even remember who all was along. Lois Schultz, and I think I don't remember, Ruth Kigler. And the cop stopped Walt, and he said, "Well, where are you going?" He says, "I got a soldier back there," and he did Arnold in his uniform. He said, "I'm trying to get him to the station to get back to camp." Cop says, "Go ahead." And Walt remembered that for years. But Walt was so good. He'd always stop somewhere, like on Butler Street. There was a good candy shop, and he'd go in there and, buy ice cream or candy, whatever. I still have gasoline ration stamps.
Do you really? What else was rationed that you had to be careful about?
Sugar.
Everything.
Sugar.
No
Butter.
nylon hose.
Paint your legs.
I remember you doing that.
Coffee.
Coffee. Candy bars.
Chewing gum.
Oh yeah, that was another
I
thing.
used to go to
Cigarettes.
You give me half a piece, a quarter of a piece. And buy stamps at school. I didn't go here then. I was up. We'd buy stamps at school and we'd get a quarter. We got that book. Then we'd have that book. That
They were a
wasn't
dime,
bad.
I think.
Yeah, a quarter dime.
Did you have to go out and gather up milkweed pods? We gathered milkweed pods to put into the life vests. So we would gather just bags and bags of milkweed pods, and that's what they put inside the life preserver, you know, the life vest.
My mother went to Red Cross. Classes, everybody went to Red Cross classes, great fun.
I know Grandma went to Ladies' Aid. What can you tell us about Ladies' Aid? What the Ladies' Aid did and
They had suppers and they made money to buy those dishes, I remember that. They said St. Luke's on them, I don't know how they got rid of them. But they worked hard to buy
Used
those
to-
dishes
Well,
and the
Used
silver.
to have oyster stew suppers, I remember
Oh,
that.
yes.
That was the men's club, wasn't it?
No.
Or was it the women?
Ladies' Aid.
That was ladies.
Men's Club had the pancakes,
Yeah.
the sausage and pancake supper.
what did the Ladies' Aid do? What was their
Quilted.
meeting like?
They quilted.
What did they do with the quilts?
Beats me.
I don't know.
They did well for people. in
Probably
the
for
church.
themselves. Somebody'd make one and then they'd quilt it, I would think.
They must have gotten money by selling them or whatever, because very early in here, they'll put a porch. The Ladies' Aid Society was given permission to put a porch on the parsonage, put a new sink in the parsonage, so they had to have money coming from somewhere.
They made a lot of money on their suppers. They didn't need much. It was money, a lot of money. And even to do that it wasn't cost a lot.
How many ladies belonged to the Ladies' Aid? You know, the age?
I have that picture.
So they say it's-
There must be a
And
bunch
Bill
of them.
Frank's on it. I don't know why.
15 or
Oh,
20
he's on it.
But
Bill
see, they
Frank.
didn't. Bill
Oh, obviously William, that's the same guy.
Frank.
So do
Mom
you
was
remember your
president.
mom, I know Grandma.
Yeah, Mum was
She was president.
president for a long time, yeah.
And there was Lydia Marhoff. There was Ann Esther Neubert. There was Liddy Kigler.
Hattie
Del
Wonderly.
Neubert.
Eddie Wonderly and Mrs. Wagner. And Mrs. Hofius, of course.
In the 100th year,
Yeah, oh yeah, she was.
in the 100th anniversary book, I can remember there being a picture of the Ladies' Aid very prominently in there. Yeah. Funerals?
Yes. St. Luke's School, when we went to school, you had to go to the funeral if it was possible. We'd always come to church if there was one in church.
Mr. Nickel was the organist.
Yeah.
But I remember when Floyd Newbert's baby died, and it was down here in the corner, and the whole school walked down and sang. It was just a little baby in the room, and we sang. Don't forget that.
Where did they live?
At the corner,
Done.
Yeah.
by George
Yeah, it was
Newbert's
down
house.
on Fisher.
The corner. And we walked, the whole folks.
But sometimes the kids would sing in church service too. You
Yes.
know, Asleep in Jesus.
I don't think we sang there.
And it was always an open coffin
Mhm.
during the whole service.
Oh.
But the
Which is
school
no
al- the
more.
School always went.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I think that's interesting.
We still went when I first came to.
Yeah, imagine.
I know that's hard, to pick out one thing, one memory. Anything other than what we've talked about already?
I think my memory would be that church was the center of our life. That it wasn't all activities otherwise. The activities otherwise was like a ball game in your backyard or a gang get-together. But the activity was mostly either family or church, centered around church, and that was, everybody enjoyed it and loved it. Nothing else took away from it. It was a big time.
Yeah, we growing up in the country, that's all we had, really.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. I mean, for activity, whatever.
Our choices were limited, weren't
Right.
they?
But the other people didn't have church too. And what did they do? They didn't do that. And I think that is a real blessing.
So young people's group was a very special time. for-
Yes. Yes, it was. We cried when we left juniors, had to go to seniors. I have a picture of us crying. And you might be on that one, Donald.
Well, I had, Mission Up had the juniors and
Because I know,
Pastor Oaks had the seniors.
didn't have transportation. I'd ride my bike from Great Belt to get to Youth Lake on Sunday afternoon. And it alternated. Hopius had seniors and Mr. Nickel had juniors. It was called Junior League. And it was interesting, we always often took part in the Pittsburgh group too, and we got acquainted with the Pittsburgh churches that way. And we really enjoyed it. Got to know a lot of them, and I still meet them sometimes. Yeah. Like when Margie Klein joined our church, I remember seeing her in the back. I said, "You're Margie Klein," or Margie, I forget her name. And I had known her from Youth League before she married Joe. And the cook over at the cooks, what's her name? That always cooks for the home festivals and Camp Praise. She still goes. Learnhardt. She was in Youth League when I was. Gosh. And then when people would come up to the home that I was working, I'd recognize them. You always knew all the pastors and all the churches. And the progressive dinner for the Reformation was a big time. We'd always go down. Our league would go down and meet the other leagues and would have an appetizer, and then we'd go to another church and have the main meal, another church. And then we'd end up at the Reformation service, and the whole youth league went. It was very nice. It was in, what was it, where was it? Music hall?
Yes.
Carnegie.
And we'd walk from First Trinity down. We'd end up at First Trinity and then we'd walk over to the Reformation service.
Now, did you go along, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, that's after my generation,
Yeah.
because, let's say, in our late teens, into the 20s, the war was on, and what could you do? There wasn't any, you couldn't.
We had roller skating parties, picnics, outings.
You're a young people's group, and I remember
What was it?
all my cousins were older. And we came along 10, 12 years later, and of course they were our heroes. And you would go skating at Twin Willows all the time.
Lernerville,
And Lernerville too.
all the time.
The
All
Dust
time.
Bowl.
Hmm?
The Dust Bowl.
You come back with dirt on your eyelashes and,
Lois wasn't allowed to go to Lernerville, but she'd sneak in.
did you all have to change the signboard out front with the sayings as a part of Youth League? I think that was me, that was my time. It was our job to change the signboard.
We didn't even have a signboard, did we?
I don't think so.
Did
That's
we
probably
roll?
cousins.
No.
That could be.
LWML,
Yeah, okay, you want to talk
That
about
was-
how, talk about that?
that was really exciting to get that going. Ladies got together and that was a big time. Remember making different things, and when the And they had the meal for the whole district to come here, and we worked so hard.
Do you still have the LWML?
Not really.
Not really.
It's kind of, they have some mites. I do,
Do you remember that?
when you started. That was interesting too,
Those were the young women.
yes. We went every month. That's the first place I went when I had my first baby. I went to Ardell Growlings for all LWML, or Alter
Alter
Guild
Guild.
meeting.
How
We
many-
made in homes.
What year was that? What'd you say?
Mark was born in what? He's
52 he was
52.
born.
52. It probably was organized before that.
My mother was a part of it when they were making the first pyramids.
And Roland Montag worked hard at this. Older covers, I think.
That was always a big distinction. The Altar Guild were the younger women, as opposed to the Ladies'
Oh,
Aid, who were the
yes,
old ladies.
yes. But then came along the LWML too. And it was very active for a long time.
Didn't we used to have sauerkraut suppers here?
Ladies' Aid.
Or was the Ladies' Aid
Was
we
it?
had them? Or was it
Ladies'
the
Aid.
men's club?
It wasn't the men's club.
Let's say.
Ladies'
I don't know, but I made sauerkraut in my basement. I have a picture of it. And I don't know who, what organization it was. I know Mrs. Kaufman was there that time. She's on it. I volunteered, so it must have been Alter Guild that time. When we had Ladies' Aid, and I don't think it was my mother's doings. But I remember that sauerkraut working down in my basement. With a gold big.
Donald, you were a part of the men's club. What did you do at the meetings?
Dark board.
Yeah, dartboard, yeah. Well, we had, usually had topics. I think we used to get from the OIL a booklet. We'd have topics in for, so we'd have that for probably half hour or so, and then dartboard, that was it. 'Cause, well, we used to have a league with the different churches in
Shuffleboard
Pittsburgh.
too.
That dartball league, Sunday afternoons, once a month I think it was.
I showed Gwen Johnny got a plaque because he shot the, how did it say, shot the strike that was heard around the room, because he
Yeah.
won and then he got a little trophy type, and I still have it.
Yeah.
Do you remember the baseball or softball games after the picnics? In the afternoon, after we ate? It's the single guys versus the married guys.
Oh, yeah.
I think they still try to have that once in a while. Last year didn't have.
You also remember the big baseball team they had, softball teams that was St. Louis
Yeah,
softball team.
softball, yeah.
That was
That's the
very
finish.
well supported by the members, you know. Kept the young men together and their families. I came home.
Well, there's a church softball league from churches around here.
Mhm.
No longer happening.
During my time,
And you played up at Concordia?
over here.
Huh,
Yeah, they would come over.
interesting, I
Yeah,
don't
but
remember
always in
that.
the morning, Memorial Day.
The one thing that you remember about being at the church or the school?
Spiritual foundation for our spiritual life.
It was the center, wasn't it? Don?
I guess that's, well, we reiterate that. That is the whole foundation for your life, really. I guess those old sticking points that you used to get preached, they still stick with you.
Yeah. Mark?
I just remember how strict it used to be.